Welcome to the Diversity Connector podcast, where we explore the rich tapestry of human experiences. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging, and together as we dive into conversations that bridge cultures, challenge stereotypes, and celebrate the unique perspectives each of us brings to the table. Each episode is a journey through stories and insights from a kaleidoscope of voices, each sharing their colorful narrative. Whether you're at home, on the go, or just anywhere in between, you're now part of a community that values understanding, inclusivity, and the beauty of diversity. So plug in your headphones, get comfortable, and let's connect through the power of our shared stories. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the Diversity Connector podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Diversity Connector. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hello, my name is Hadeel Aishuraymi. I'm in the northern suburbs of Melbourne, and I'm 24 years old. I would start my story from, I came to Melbourne 6 years ago, seeking asylum with my family from Saudi Arabia. My life in Saudi Arabia was good, but very religious. And we kind of, at some point, had to really look into that. My sister was married, and we did a divorce, and then because of religion, they were like kind of preventing us from getting in. And then we really got into delve into our Islam, and then we were like, okay, I don't think this is what we wanted to do anymore. And then we stopped being Muslims. But if you stop being Muslim in Saudi, you can't live there, or they'll kill you. So we had to leave. My dad passed away a year before we left, and then my mom saved all the money for us to get to Melbourne, to come to Australia, and we came. My life here started since my dad has passed away. Me and my siblings had to kind of find jobs and start paying our own for the rent and food and everything. So I started with hospitality. I finished high school back home, but I never really got to do any more education here aside from English a little bit. How I actually learned English fully was because of One Direction, this like singing band from UK. My friend from Saudi introduced me to them, and I really liked them, and I love singing in general. So I started writing the songs and the translation under it, and then I learned English. And then so when we first came to Melbourne, we started finding like hospitality jobs. I started doing hospitality till before COVID. In COVID, I was waitressing in a pub, and I had a part-time admin job. And then COVID happened. I met my partner right before then. So by the time the COVID, like the lockdown stopped, we have a baby. So, and then I have obviously like taking care of the baby and trying to find daycare and trying to find a house to move out away from my family's house. Because with a baby and my partner, we couldn't really live all in the same house. I'm part of 7 kids. I guess this should have came a little earlier, but yeah, I'm part of 7 kids. So the house is massive and full of people. So moving out was a bit of a challenge to try and find a job, a daycare, and the house in the same time. And we're not sure. We just wanted to stay kind of in the same vicinity. My family still live in the north, but like deeper, like north near Epping and Wallet, that area. We wanted to come a little closer to the city. anyways, eventually we found a job. I found a job in Heidelberg, and I found my son a daycare in Preston, and we found our house in Heidelberg. So that was great. And I started a job as an admin in a disability office. And that was my first full time office job. It was a bit to get used to sitting down on a chair for so long, but it's great. It was great. I feel like, I don't know, it's just a bit more respected. I feel like in an office job, like in general, you feel a little less replaceable than hospitality. I don't know, just how people treat you, at least I felt that. But then one day it was really fun. My boss from that job told me to go to a workshop nearby about like supporting people to find employment and stuff that was the Brotherhood of St. Lawrence was holding. So, which is a non-for-profit for people, just they're a huge non-for-profit that supports people with employment in the IS, aged care. Anyway, so I went to the workshop and I got to know the team leader there. And then he was talking to me, and he's from Zimbabwe, and he's a really nice guy. Like he really shaped my future from then. He was really kind and really was like offered to meet me and tell me how maybe I can go from here to the next step, and maybe I can join the company. So I applied for jobs. Yeah, that was a long process to try to apply for a job and to get in, and it took maybe like 6 months to finally get in the Brotherhood. I was admin there for like the employment area in the company, and then 7 months in, 5 months in, I think, the executive assistant for the CEO of the company had to go and leave, and then they were looking for someone to like cover for her. And then the CEO had the idea of like maybe getting someone from within the company to like expand our people's knowledge kind of thing. So I was fortunate enough to be picked, and I was working there for a month. That was a bit surreal just to go from like normal admin to executive assistant to the CEO. But I really tried my best to make as much out of it as possible. So I was trying to talk to people and get them to know me and what I can offer. And then there's a chaplaincy area within the company that supports people in the company, like the actual employees, if they needed someone to talk to, and just like pastoral care kind of situation. And I really like was fascinated with their work, even though I'm not really religious, but I'm very spiritual, and I believe in being a good person and taking care of people and making the world a better place one bit at a time. So I felt like that resonated with me, and they really wanted an executive assistant. So I was kind of hustling my way in, talking to everyone. And yeah, and then that ended, and then something, whatever, talk to people, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, I got the job of the executive assistant to chaplaincy, and assistant to Trav, like a little assistant, like assisting the assistant to the CEO. But yeah, so now I love my job and we feel pretty stable. I've been taking care of my son is 2.5 now. My partner is studying and computer science, and yeah, it's been great.
Wow. What an amazing journey you've had, from Saudi Arabia to Australia and the challenges that you experienced to get here.
Yeah, it's
So,
been crazy.
what were some of the first experiences you had? Let's talk about culture shock and transitioning to a new environment. What were the things that really stood out for you when you first came?
I remember my first time in the city. I really loved how everyone just looked different. Like everyone looked so special to them, like how they want to look. Like back home, everyone looked the same because we all had to, especially the city I was living in and everything. Everyone was wearing like hijab, which is like just a black robe, and all the guys were wearing like white. So no one really looked different. In Melbourne City, especially, it's crazy. Like everyone just looks whatever they want to look, and it was really like awesome. Also, it was a little bit hard to find my own sense of fashion and what do I want to look like. because for a long time it was just like easier to just like put on the hijab and that's it. But yeah, now I feel like I can finally take a breath. We have the citizenship now too, so that's great.
And what were the limitations you found, especially when you were still in school? I don't know how long ago this was before you came. Did you come while you were in primary school, high school? At
Just
what age?
finished high school. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
I finished high school back home and then I just came the next year. Even like I was 18 when I came here.
you were 18.
Mm.
Okay. So you didn't go to any of the schools here in Australia. You went straight to university?
No, I just started working. I
Okay,
never really got a chance yet to study. Maybe one day, but I've been just working since then.
fantastic. So in the workplace, were you always a minority in the places where you worked, or were they more people of color? How have you found being here as a person of color in the Australian workspace?
Hmm. I think it's been very diverse. Like in general, I think Melbourne is one of them like really diverse cities. Um, it was really interesting to meet different just regions of the world. I don't think I've looked so like too obvious or too different or anything. I think I looked kind of fit in because everyone looks different, and then we all fit in somehow.
Yeah, that is the beautiful thing about Melbourne. It is a bit of a melting pot of different places. Now, you've worked in the disability arena as well, I noticed, with the Northern Disability Services. You know, diversity is not just about gender, it's about different abilities that we have. What was your role in that particular position?
I was an admin support officer, and also I kind of supported with the um, support coordination. So a few times they needed someone that speaks Arabic. I speak Arabic, and then they would, or some clients would want a woman, and we didn't have a support coordinator woman, so they kind of also wanted me to go to that side more. And I supported a few people. It was a little, like, what do I say? Intense, honestly, to see people who are like living so different, or we're just never given the same chances, or we're just born differently. And it was pretty, yeah, like eye opening, and like makes you grateful to what you have, and also like appreciate life in general.
Yeah, that is true. Sometimes you need a little bit of contrast from your own life to actually see how other people's lives are. So now you're bringing up your son in Australia. What is your vision for the future? Where do you see yourself 10, 20 years from now?
That changes like every week. I'm pretty ambitious. Like I want to like grow, and I want to, not specifically, I'm not sure if I want to stay within a company for the rest of my life. I want to start a business. I feel like I have the energy and the individuality, and like I feel like I have the potential to just start my own. Definitely my goal, my kind of loose goal for now is, um, I've I've noticed that a lot of the times people who get helped, like when you get trauma, like if someone had trauma in their life, sometimes they develop to be a little more aggressive, and sometimes they're just a little depressed and close to themselves, and just and I think these people mostly have more empathy and stuff, and it's not as shiny to help them. I feel like people who are just not so aggressive, like people are just like really can't read, can't like they're just on the sidelines, and I feel like they don't get helped enough. And I think my goal for the future is to try and start a program or something to support these people, somehow come up with like indicators to who the people are, where do we find them, start a study or something, and see if it's possible or it's even a thing. But for now, that's what I think, and then that's what I kind of my goal maybe, as I'm working towards it slowly.
You are observing it, so it's out there. You know, the fact
Mm.
that you're seeing it and it bothers you means that they are there and nobody's really paying attention to that demographic of people. That's a very, very good observation and really something worth, holding on to and exploring and investigating. Do your research. You will find that there's probably more than you're observing and seeing. And you could definitely be onto something there.
Thanks.
I
Okay.
really like that. Now, in terms of your family, your parents are here, obviously, your sister. How was the transition for them? Sometimes it's easier for young people to transplant from one place to the other. How have your parents found the transition?
So, as I said, my dad passed away like a year before we came to Melbourne. So we came here with mum. I think mum had a hard time, honestly, to kind of merging into the culture here for like at the start at least. The English part and to try and like fit in, find a place because when you like you said when you're older you kind of find it hard to I don't know start from zero I guess in a different country. But she has been studying English for a long time, and then now she's in uni studying psychology, and she loves it. She loves like philosophizing about everything and what she thinks is right and why is the world like this and how do we become happy and sad and whatever it is. So she's pretty happy now, but yeah, it took a while. For a while, I think she was very confused and not sure what to do.
Yeah. So, how much support have you needed, especially as a young mom, with childcare, with looking after your son? Has that been an easy thing for you, or do you think that a lot more can be done for young working mothers in the workplace?
As for like the government, like if we're talking about government, honestly, like I think the support is really good. Like I have the childcare subsidy with Centrelink, and especially because I'm the only one working in the family, they
Yes.
cover pretty much all of it. Like aside from like a fortnight, I get to pay like 220, which is
Okay.
nothing. Yeah, yeah, it's very cheap. Like so, I'm very grateful for that. Honestly, it's really good.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. That's really good to know because a lot of times we don't even know what facilities are out there, how the government is supporting young moms. So I'm glad to hear that you've actually managed to fit in and be able to work, feed your family, and have your baby taken care of as well. Now, when you paint a picture for the future for your son, what do you see Australia giving your little baby in terms of his future?
Babies are like full of potential. Like every other day, we're like, oh, maybe he'll be like an artist. Maybe he'll be like a basketball player. Like every day, we have like a new idea for him. I think we really want to get him into sport. I got my little brothers into basketball, and I think it changed them a lot. It really made them a lot more confident and make more friends and just fit and see life like from a different like even from different eyes, like just enjoy it a lot more. I think, especially now with everyone's on their phones all the time and stuff. I think just getting my son out there, moving outside. He loves it. He loves walking around and just always fighting me to go out for a walk, like all day long. So I think yeah, I want to keep him like active. To what he exactly wants to do, I think I'm happy. I think Australia, like especially like Melbourne in general, really like offers so much, and you can get a job and start your career even if you didn't do like specific like credentials or something. So I'm
Yeah.
not too worried about him. Like I think hopefully everything will fall into place, and we'll be always here for him to support him. And that's why I'm working so hard and my partner to start like studying again and try and build himself as well, to just have that like cushion for him also, like just in case he needed it, because we never really had that.
Yeah. And I think you're right in saying that children excel when they can put focus on the things that they're really good at. So whether it's going to be drama or soccer or basketball or drawing, whatever it is that comes to them intuitively can be turned into a career. And that's the beautiful thing about living in countries like Australia, where you don't have to follow the traditional
Mm,
education pathway or employment pathway for you to succeed. I think that's the one thing that I'm finding to be the biggest advantage for young people in this country. So
100%.
there was another young woman, maybe from your country, maybe from another country, who's just recently moved to Australia, is struggling to fit in, finding it really, really hard to make friends. What three nuggets of wisdom would you give them? What are the things they can do to fit in?
Oh,
I'm putting you on camera on your own, so you answer that question.
okay, okay. Sorry. Um, Three nuggets of wisdom to try and fit in. If you can try and find a job, even whatever it is, like I started with hospitality, a cafe in a hospital, in the Alfred Hospital. Even though like maybe it wasn't the best money or the best title or whatever, it really got me talking to people and getting out of my shell and learning the culture and where and how I fit in. Um, that definitely would be first. That helped me try and make friends. Usually by doing things you love. I think like how my brothers really got to do basketball and stuff. They got to know so many new friends. Um, that gives them a lot of confidence and just ways of like handling life. Um, yeah, I think the most important thing is just don't stay home. Like don't just close yourself in and just not be able. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to like take it in and mesh with the world. If you want to make the most of it, you're here now. Try your best to be positive and get out and like just see the world and walk around. Just enjoy the city.
Yeah, you're right. Staying at home isn't going to help. I always encourage young immigrants who come to a new country to put themselves out there and volunteer with different organizations. That's how you meet people. You have to put yourself out there. Nothing is going to happen while you're sitting at home and just hoping that, something is going to come out of it. Now, the institution you're working for now, how diverse is it? And do they accommodate people from different diverse backgrounds? I know it's an academic institution, and I'm talking now about children with disabilities. What is that organization doing to help?
Um, I don't know if I can do its justice because it's actually a really great organization. I don't know if it's educational because it's a non-for-profit, just to support the community. Their main mission is to elevate poverty in Australia. They're very diverse and even abilities, like not just colors, even like all abilities are welcomed, and they really try their best to accommodate to everyone. Honestly, I think it's a great place to work. I'm very lucky and I'm fortunate. I think if anyone listens to this and they're like, oh, I don't know where to apply or where I should follow my dreams or something, I think for me at least, I really needed to work in a company that is making the world a better place. Like, I can't just work just to make money for someone else. Like that, that's too depressing. It's just so sad. Like the world has so much like sadness in it already. So at least I can do is make my surroundings a little better and then work in a company that's making something better of the world. And I think my company does that. I'm very fortunate.
I love that. Now, is there anything that you miss about Saudi Arabia? Anything at all that you would
The,
like to go back to?
the food, the food was so much better. Yeah. The flavors is just nothing here just tastes the same. That's definitely one of the main reasons if I ever want to go back, it would be the food.
Oh man, maybe you need to open a Saudi Arabian restaurant, then we can all try the cuisine.
That would be great if I could cook.
Okay, we're going to strike that off the list.
No.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, I had the honor of interviewing the first Saudi woman to climb Mount Everest.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I met her in Dubai and I helped her write the first draft of her first book. So I
Nice.
was a ghostwriter for her. absolutely fascinating young woman. And a couple of weeks ago, I interviewed the first Saudi woman to drive a car in Saudi Arabia.
Lujane?
She's also in exile here in Australia.
Uh, is her name Lujane?
I can't remember the name offhand, but she's based in
Mm.
Sydney now.
Wow, we haven't. I don't know if it's the same woman I'm in my head because she was really inspirational in Saudi, and then she disappeared, and then we were really worried about her. Like, is she okay? Is she alive?
She was threatened and she had to leave. So she's based in
Yeah.
Australia.
Oh, that's
I,
awesome. That's
yeah,
lovely.
when I publish the interview I did with her, I will tag you because it will come
Yeah,
out with this series of interviews. So
it'd be
it
great.
looks to me like Saudi women are feisty, they are change makers. How is that possible in a country where there's so much suppression of the woman's voice?
I think it's just like because of how suppressed we are, we like explode eventually to like who we want to be. If we just, I was thinking like if I was born in somewhere else that didn't like put me in a box, maybe I wouldn't be the person who I am today, and just try and like, I don't know, be grateful to all the things that happen because eventually, yeah, that's why I'm here. And yeah.
So that experience actually made you the woman that you are by the sound of it, correct?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they say that the universe will never give you challenges that you can't overcome, and you overcome them to become a teacher, to change the world in some way. You wouldn't be you if you hadn't gone through that experience.
Exactly. Hearing your story before, and then how you had a job here, and then that wouldn't let you leave early to pick up your kids or something, and
Yeah.
then and then eventually, like, it's either you, the job, or the kids. Obviously, it shows your kids.
Kids.
Like that moment, like, it would definitely be really hard, and just, like, oh, why did they leave me? What's wrong with them? You could have just been like, oh, this is like, Australia's not fair and stuff, but you tried your best to like make the most out of it, and crazy things happened from then. Like the best path of life like started. So we can,
It-
yeah, we'll have to always be grateful. Yeah.
You're so right. Yeah, that was an interesting experience. I was in New Zealand at the time. That was a good 22 years ago. I had the youngest child was 3, the oldest was 12, the middle one was 10. And I was just losing having a full-time job, trying to run and pick up kids from school. And of course, it's illegal to leave them alone under the age of 12 as well. I thought I would go absolutely crazy, but it worked out well in the end.
Mm,
It put me on this road to be an entrepreneur. And now that's what I do. I support other women to get into the space, to find ways to look after their children. And we're living in a country where you can be whoever you want to be, which is a real privilege for someone who comes from my background as well.
exactly. That's awesome.
So let's end our interview with one last question. I'm going to teleport you into the future. We're going to have a little thought experiment. And you are now 90 years old and you are sitting on your porch in your rocking chair, surrounded by your children, your grandchildren. If I could teleport you into the future right now and you could have a conversation with the future you, based on how you're living your life, what would you say to this wise woman who's led you to that point?
That just like really made me so happy because my son like fills me with like happiness and joy, and to be like around, like, if I have more kids and like my grandchildren, that's just I'm gonna cry. That's just like joy. That's just joy. That's it. That would be amazing. What would I tell myself? I'd be just like, thank you for having such a good outlook on life. I think that's the best thing that I have, and that will always lead me to where I need to be. I think you can always make things negative or positive to whatever you have. We always get stuck on what we want to do next. And then finally, like when you get it, you're kind of depressed again because you have some other goal that you want to go to. Like I have goals, but I love where I am and I'm enjoying every second of it. And even the downs and the ups, it's just so fun. Like, life is fun. There's so much you can do. Just do what you can. And I love that outlook. Like, I didn't have that for so long, for like my whole life. I've been like having it recently, and even my partner really helped me with it. And I think it's been getting my life better and better. And I hope I'm still stuck by it by 90.
I love it. I absolutely love it. You know why I like to ask that question? A lot of women don't realize that that wise woman is already in you. She's already guiding you. And you just have to trust yourself and listen to what your heart tells you to do. And you're talking about grandchildren. I got stuck in Melbourne during COVID. My only daughter married an Australian. So after the first lockdown, I jumped on a flight, came to Melbourne, and I got stuck here for 8 months. I couldn't go back to New Zealand.
Oh, no.
And it's the best thing that ever happened to me. My little grandson is now 2 years old, and he is the love of my life. Grandchildren should come with a big warning sign on their foreheads. Your life will never be the same again.
I can't even imagine. I'm going to cry. That's so good. I can't. That's too much love. It's too much.
I realized too that this was the dream when I left Africa. I remember thinking, I want to live long enough to be a grandmother. I grew up during the AIDS pandemic in Zimbabwe, watched so many family members dying of AIDS. When I got to New Zealand, the life expectancy of a Zimbabwean female was 25.
Oh, wow.
I had just turned 31 and lived way past my die-by date. So to see my grandson is just one of the biggest blessings ever. And I recently lost both my parents, 18 months apart. My dad died first and then my mom during COVID. And there are times when he smiles and I will see a glimpse of my mother's smile in him. Or he laughs with his little thrown back, and there's my father in him as well. So
that's so cute. I'm glad.
All the people that I love, and hold on to your seatbelt until you get there.
That's lovely. That's exciting.
Oh, but it's been such a pleasure talking to you today. I can't wait to finally meet you in person. You know, we're both here in Melbourne. Let's connect for a coffee one of these days. I will definitely get in touch with you, and I would love you to be one of our speakers at our next conference here in Melbourne. I'm busy sorting out venues and getting my lineup of speakers, so I'll talk to you about that as well.
That sounds great.
Thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Diversity
Thank you so much.
Is connecting you with phenomenal people from all over the world who find themselves in this beautiful space we call home. So come back again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing person. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you again for this interview.
Thank you, Gertrude. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Bye for now, everybody. A wrap, everybody, on today's episode of the Diversity Connector podcast. Thank you for tuning in and being part of our vibrant and global conversation. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a tapestry of diverse perspectives. Remember, every story you've heard today is a thread in the larger fabric of our shared humanity. So, as you step back into your world, carry these stories with you and let them inspire you to embrace and celebrate the rich diversity around us. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these inspiring stories with more listeners. Do follow us on social media by looking for the Diversity Connector podcast for more updates. Until then, keep connecting, keep listening, and keep celebrating the beauty of diversity. This is the Diversity Connector podcast signing off. Stay curious, stay open,